Welcome all astrology. Welcome Aquarius Ascendant, Aquarius Risings. This is your end of June 2020 video. It's going to pick up at June 21st and then go on. We're actually going to talk about some of the major frequencies you're going to be feeling, and I'm going to try to do it in a way where there's no astrological terms. We are going to see what's going to be focused in the area for there. All right, let's start all over again. So what's going to happen in 6 months' time? What's going to happen in 3 weeks' time? What's going to happen in 2 weeks' time? Here we're going to find out what's Mars up to. Always follow Mars. Before I go any further, if you're new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you tap the bell, make sure you comment, make sure you follow along, make sure you're letting me know you're engaged, make sure you're following the 5-step process. In all of that, I'm going to be showing love and support back to fellow people, fellow neighbors, fellow family members in this community. So I am playing a video right here. I will attach the name right here. This is Keto Beach, which I love watching this program. I am not a TV or a movie watcher, but I have new friends within this community and they're supporting. The crazy thing is, I don't know how I came across this channel, but this guy, he lives in Florida, right? And he is in a place, now Florida's a very big state, but he's in a location that I've actually been. I've only been to Florida like one time in my life. And it turns out I spent 2 weeks exactly where he's at. So anyhow, he's got great imagery. He's funny as hell. The show's never boring. And so check out his channel. It's called Keto Beach, Keto Beach, B-A-C-H. And it's beautiful. There's always sand, there's water. He's entertaining. All right, with that out of the way, we are now going to talk about you, Aquarius Ascendant, Aquarius Rising. First of all, I need to get my shit together. Gotta have the notebook. This is like my magic book. I have on the 21st of June, we have an eclipse that occurs. Now, it's at 0 degrees Cancer, so all you got to know is where is Cancer energy in your chart. All right, so Cancer energy, if you're an Aquarius Ascendant, Aquarius Rising, which, by the way, is not your birthday. A rising sign, ascendant sign, one and the same, is not your birthday. We get your rising and your ascendant sign by your birth time and location. Yes, your birthday is part of that, but it needs, in addition, your birth time and location. Cancer energy is in your 6th house. So with an eclipse, eclipses bring change. Your 6th house is your health. Your 6th house, now this is interesting because when you have Cancer energy in your 6th house, the 6th house is your physical well-being, is your physical health, but at the same time, you have Cancer there. Cancer represents your emotions. All right, so this would be your emotional health. Understanding that your emotional health, now for all of us, this is true, our emotional health, much of our physical health, our mental well-being is based on our emotions, how we feel about something, right? You don't feel right about something, people get violently ill, people start vomiting, people feel nauseated. This would not be uncommon with having Cancer ascendant in the 6th house. That placement means you have to be really careful with your feelings. You have to be very careful with your emotions. You have to find ways to make sure that your Cancerian waters are always calm. Okay, this would help you. You would get very far if you could learn how to do that. Not to say you don't, but just make sure that if you do, that you learn to perfect it and practice it often. Okay, and I'm going to get into the details why. There's going to be 5 things we're going to go through in this video. I think I forgot to mention that. 5 things we're going to talk about. So this eclipse happening in your 6th house, understanding that your 6th house is also your work. Okay, it's your work environment. It's also your domestic life. It's not necessarily representative of the home, but it's your day-to-day routines. So it can be things that you do daily in your house, like how many of us, we get up, we take a shower, then we go eat. Some of us then go outside and feed the birds in the feeder. Some of us go and do some handiwork around the house, or we work out in the home, or we then go to the gym. Like, these are our daily routines, all right? So changes in the daily routines, changes in health, but this definitely could be changes at work. Work routines could change. Now, depending upon your personal chart, there may be actual changes in work itself, like you may work somewhere else. I would only know that if I had your birth digits. Okay, that's the only way to know. Keep this in mind, Because if you have planets there, you will already know these things, okay? Because changes will happen and they'll happen fast. It'll be a big deal. It won't be something you won't notice. Whoa, 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 let's slow down and let's back up. If you haven't watched the videos for this eclipse, there are 3 of them. And yes, 3. No, I wasn't being really, I wasn't full of wind. I wasn't full of hot air. I didn't have a whole lot to just get off my chest. This eclipse, and there were 2 eclipses in June. And back to back, 2 weeks apart, their energies kind of blended, okay? And so there's a lot of discussing and disseminating. There's a lot of unraveling of the energies and understanding what was happening in our private life and what was happening in the world, right? Especially for the United States. So I'm attaching those 3 videos down below if you want more information about this eclipse and how you can expect changes, not just in a personal way, but on a global way. Go check those out to help you better understand more. The next thing is the intentions. This eclipse is a North Node solar eclipse. What that means is it's time to set intentions. Now, normally you would want to set intentions on that day. I personally am waiting till about the 23rd because we're waiting on Venus. Venus is retrograding, and Venus has been spending her time in Gemini, which is thinking, retrograding, understanding, learning, reevaluating what she values in her life, getting a better idea of what she needs to move forward in her future to have emotional security, emotional satisfaction, to have a more stable sense of stability, of emotional stability in her life. So let's discover how you can get answers for yourself. All you got to do, if you have your own chart, find out where your natal moon sign is. Your natal moon sign will then give you more information. Now, this has everything to do with that 6th house energy because that's where the eclipse was. So the intention that you set, the wish, is going to have to do with that. Come on, kitty. This is Zoe. If she shows up, she wants to be on the lap, but right now isn't going to work. We got to move along. Zoe's waiting. So understanding your new moon wishes are going to be based on how to do things, about your day-to-day routines, your health habits. 6th house is my habits, without a doubt. So health habits, work habits, the know-how stuff. It's all Virgo things. Think of Virgo because that's the 6th house placement. But because it's Cancer energy, it's family, it's emotions, it's mom. Think about the sign of Cancer. Yes, there's a lot of things. You have to, in astrology, it's taking all the different meanings and weaving them together. That's how you do this. I know it's a lot. Mars is moving at the end of the month. Mars is a trigger planet, so you always want to know what the hell Mars is up to. Mars goes ahead and moves out of Piscean energy into its home, which is Arian energy. So at the 28th of June, Mars will start triggering Arian energy. It won't actually be in Aries just yet, but it'll be close enough. It'll be within orb is what we call that. And you'll start feeling this fire rise up in you. Now, understand who Mars is. Mars is the ego. Mars is impulsive. Mars reacts. Mars doesn't think. Mars just goes ahead and does. Mars ruling Arian energy, like the one and the same. So you want to know where Aries is in your chart, right? You want to know what part of your life, where is this an impact? Your Aries energy is in your 3rd house. So this means you have impulsive thinking. All right, this means that the way you think, you need to incorporate more layers of thought. And this is the lesson for Mars. Mars is having a rebirth in reality because it's in its home. And it's going to be all about how Mars can come to life, can have a birthday, and taste more like a fine wine as opposed to grapes that were just pressed. This is really what we want. We want Mars to emerge with depth, with flavor, with life, but not to be so reactionary, but to be more responsive, to think first before it leaps, to not charge forward with its head down. Remember, Mars, Aries energy, your 3rd house, can be very verbally combative. Understanding this, all right? This is, first of all, we all have this Arian energy somewhere in our life. So anytime you hear me talk about anything, it all applies to me too. Because whether my Aries is in my 3rd doesn't matter. It's where is Aries in my life? And this is where I'm impulsive. This is where I'm combative. This is where I'm fiery. This is where I'm reactionary. All right. So but you have it in your third house. So your third house for Aquarius Ascendant, Aquarius Rising means you may say things that you probably should have thought first before you spoke. This is what that third house is. It's learning how to relate, how to communicate, how to get along with folks, with people in your immediate environment, how to get along in a way where you're a little bit more thoughtful, okay, where you definitely pause before speaking. Remember, Mars energy is sporadic bursts. It can go from 0 to 10 very quick. It tends to be, it's the warrior, it's the fighter. Mars doesn't like to back down, but we want Mars to really evolve. We want Mars to graduate. We want Mars to come out showing in your own personal life that you're not going to allow the ego, which is Mars, you're not going to allow it to control. This is the bigger picture, all right? Here you get into this whole esoteric, deeper meaning, the virtuous actions, the virtuous ways of expressing energy for Mars, okay? Because Mars likes to carry weapons, right? Do you use words as weapons? There's this whole thing that happens. So we want Mars to emerge as an individual whose energy we use as a tool. We don't let the ego, we don't let this fierceness control us. We use it when we need it, all right? We have control over it. So the goal now is to show your mastery of your emotions, okay? This is for all of us. Show your mastery of emotions, because here's the fifth point of this reading. I know there were more, but that's okay. Number 5, because I just feel committed to saying number 5. Number 5 is that Mars will be spending the next 6 months in your third house. Okay, so what happens is, in ways of talking, speaking, thinking, and communicating, okay, because that's your third house, there's impulsivity. And you're going to feel, because Mars is rejuvenated here, Mars is energized here. It's Mars's birthday. Aren't babies full, brimming with energy, right? So realize this and understand what you really want to do is allow, step aside, because Mars is it's really the ego. Okay, it's our ego drive, our ego passion, our ego energy. What you really want, you want to express highly, allow your soul to control. Let the ego, push the ego, take the ego and put it to the side and say, you know what? I'm only calling upon you when I deem it necessary. This is really the big picture here. It's how are we thinking, talking, speaking, and relating. It's also short trips and journeys, because it's the third house. Do you like to just jump in the car and go, right? Do you, when you get angry, do you have a tendency to jump in the car and drive off like a maniac? Like I see and hear people do it all the time. Not saying I haven't been there, just saying that this would be that, right? Jump on the bike and just take off and drive. And it could just, like, you need to do this to release, ways to release the steam. Find healthier ways. Getting behind, like a 4-ton vehicle isn't a good idea. I'm not saying you do that, but Mars energy likes to be physically active. So what you want to do, right, when you get that fiery stuff going, that gumption to just, like, you got to explode, physically explode. Go hit the bag. Go in the backyard, start digging holes. Go do something physical. Mars, the only way sometimes to get that Martian energy out is to let it physically express, not on another being, not on a living being, right? We that's not the way we want to do it. We want to do it in a controlled way. And I say controlled in a safe way, in a way where there's a controlled environment where nobody is getting hurt, but let the explosions occur where they can be done in a, I don't want to say supervised, but in a way where there's just no pain. Nobody's getting hurt. There's no suffering involved. Okay, but yeah, understand. That's what you need to do. Okay, but yeah, stay out of the vehicles. I think that's all we're going to talk about for right now. Oh no, 6 months. I'm sorry, 6 months. So being in this location for the next 6 months means there's going to be a testing, and it's going to be testing areas. When I take a peek at you, right, it's going to personally be testing what I mentioned earlier, your Cancer energy in your 6th house, your emotional Cancerian waters. So this could be your emotional health, your physical health. This is why you want to maintain control. This is why you want to maintain balance. This is why the Martian energy, which is fire, can create boiling water to your Cancerian energy, right? Cancer is water energy, okay? And so we don't want it to ever get to the boiling point, Not unless we need boiling water, right? Because what happens when you let water boil? Right, stuff gets burnt. We don't want that to happen. So you gotta do things like turn the flames down, maybe add some ice cubes, whatever it is you gotta do. You're gonna learn how to do this. These next 6 months, you're gonna become the master of your emotions. And this is for all of us, but understanding that it's the way you talk, the way you think. It all begins with your thought. So you gotta check yourself. You gotta check yourself and what you're thinking. You got to check yourself and how you're thinking about yourself, without a doubt, self-thoughts, because it's Aries in the 3rd house. And Aries is all about me, right? What do I think about myself in the 3rd house? So you have to retrain your brain, right? You have to learn to have control. You have to just go through this whole process of understanding this is a new project. This is a project that it's a journey, man. It's a quest. We're all on it. But this is the way we can learn how to master our emotions, how to evolve and how to put the ego aside, and how to allow the soul to control.